Okay, so I know I was supposed to have vlogged on Thursday and Friday. Had a little bit of problem with Wegovy. Wegovy does just kick in and it stops you feeling like you want to actually eat, and it gives you that hormone that actually stops you from feeling like you want to actually eat anything. So anyway, you would have seen my little tram trip. I was heading down to South Yarra to do some macro. I'll quickly pick up 2 photos. Okay, so as you would have seen on those photos, the bee was a really tricky one to get hold of, and the actual leaf, that reminded me of Terminator 2. You remember that metal melting Terminator and Terminator 2? That's what that reminded me of, so that's why I shot that one. And we are filming on the Oppo Z, Renault Z camera from 2019. And I'm not color grading, I'm actually using the filter mode on this phone. When I got my Google Pixel 7 Pro, it had filters, but as Google does each year when they release a new one, they remove all the features from the older one to try and force you to buy another one. But Oppo, this one is updated from 2019 to 2022 with its firmware, and it hasn't removed any of the filters. So this is their pure one. It gives you a little bit, just over here I suppose, a little bit of the call it vignetting, but it is sort of circling me in a vignette. And I'm shooting on the front camera, which I believe is about 20. It's a huge amount of megapixels. The rear camera is 45 megapixels, which is, you know, nothing amazing, but that's what it was. And the front one was the highest front camera that they had for anybody at the time. So I can't exactly remember off the top of my head what the settings are. And I'm drinking hot cacao because I'm outside and it's cold. So what Wegovy did to me, I had to leave home at 8 AM to get to this macro thing by 10:30. It's a 2-hour and 10-minute trip. I don't ever eat anything before midday. That's part of my staying healthy mode. I stop eating at about 10 o'clock at night and I start eating again at midnight. So I should have had a glass of water. That's what the doctor told me to do. You know, doctors are all happy about, you know, about eating periods and non-eating periods. So I didn't drink my water. I got all the way to the macro photography, and that was at Guilfoyle's volcano, and that was actually off limits because they were doing some maintenance on it. So we wandered around all the succulents and all the dry area plants and got some everlastings, and I got some spider photos too, which I could always put up a spider photo, but it was my first attempt ever really at getting out trying macro. Do I like it? Yes. What does macro remind me of? Street photography. I'm a fisher when it comes to street photography. I'll find a spot, I'll compose the scene, and then I'll wait for the people to go through, something to go through that's going to make the actual photo. But I'll make sure I've got the scene right first. So I'm roaming around this little botanical garden. You know, we're in a workshop, there's 10 of us I think turned up for the workshop. There was 15 places, but only 10 actually showed up out of the 15 that booked. And I'm roaming around, and I'm stopping at each tree. Now you got to go right back in my history to 1991 when I did a 2-year diploma in horticulture. It used to be a great hobby of mine, gardening, but I've been in rental homes now for 20 years and they don't let you garden here. They just bitch at you if you don't do the weeding. But when I've done model shoots in botanical gardens, I've used that training that I had with plants. You know, I know the botanical names, I know the Latin name, I can speak the Latin terms, and I know what's in flower, what's not in flower. So I'm stopping at each plant that's got an illness on it. It looks like something's been chewing on it, looks like it's got a bit of bacteria, looks like it's a little bit out of wellness. And the organised company says, "What are you looking for?" You know, I was curious, and I said, "Well, something's chewed here, and there's a spider web over there, so the spider's hunting the prey, that his prey is what's chewing these leaves." And ultimately we found the spider, and the spider was, I can't even show you on my hand. I could not see it really. It looked like a grain of sand to me, and the instructor said, "Get your camera out and use your camera because it's got 2 times magnification." He lent me a lens to use too, because the lens I brought for the workshop is somewhere between Tokyo and Melbourne at the moment. So it's coming. It's the third time I tried to purchase this lens. I just said to the organiser, I said, "Look, I've tried purchasing it. It's on its way. Do you mind if I use one?" He said, "Yeah, go." You know, because it is Olympus that organises, you know, our system, so they want us to buy their products. So he lent me one to try, and it's a great lens. 30mm f3.5 macro micro four thirds, so it's going to be 60mm. It's got a magnification of 1.35, but when you put some macro, what do you call it, extension tubes on it, the extension tubes push it out to well over 2 magnification. Enough talk on macro. It's interesting, and it's as hard as any photography I could do, and as easy as any photography I could do. So I've got a stinking Lincoln coin in there, which I think is the US 1 cent coin. When my lens turns up, I'll do some macro photos of that, and I've also got some rare minerals that only come from Russia and Tasmania in there as well, which are really teeny weeny, and then I got them gold panning in a creek in Tassie. I will bring those out for a macro photo shoot sometime next week, Thursday or Friday next week. Failing that, going on my Wegovy tail that got on the tram. You've seen that tram footage. The tram takes me 10 minutes down the track. It's an hour's walk from the station to where I had to get to, or something ridiculous, because I had to go that way and that way and then that way. But it took about 10 minutes, and then a 10-minute walk from where the tram dropped me off. It's right down the arse end of the Botanical Gardens. It'd be nice if it was at the front of the Botanical Gardens, and it'll be a 10-minute walk from Flinders Street Station. So I got down there and I was starting to feel a bit lightheaded. There was a drink fountain in the park, so I had some water, just a couple of sips. In my infinite wisdom, you can't see the bruise there, but I got booked in for a plasma donation at the Red Cross the day before, and that was going to be an hour after the macro walk. So I finished the macro walk at 12:30, got on a tram, got back in at 1:25. I managed to get into the Red Cross. It was just in time. And the standard question is, have you had anything, you know, eat and drink? Have you been eating and drinking? And I said, yeah, okay. So I quickly got myself a glass of water, and I had my first glass of water for the day, and it was only 100ml, only a small shot of water. They did my blood pressure. It's the lowest my blood pressure's ever been, and I mean seriously, 108/65. I'm usually 120/80. That was, blood pressure was really low. Plasma normally takes me 40 minutes to get 879ml out, so I did 879ml, and instead of 40 minutes, it took an hour and 10 minutes. My blood just was not pumping. Once we did that, you have your meal. You know, you got to have a meal and sit down for 15 minutes at the blood donations. They don't have any food that's diabetic friendly. I've raised this with them a few times in the last 5 years, that their food is not diabetic friendly. I can't eat potato chips. I can't drink chocolate milk, strawberry milk, high sugar milk drinks. They have biscuits, which are full cream biscuits, so I can't eat them. Cookies, you Americans. And meat pies and sausage rolls. So I grabbed an apple. Once again, I didn't feel hungry, so I just put the apple in my pocket to have on the way home, and I ended up having to feed it to the wildlife on the way home because I got bailed up by some feral animals. And I had a glass of water, so I'd had 2 glasses of water by that stage. Got on the train, 38 minutes back to the train station, and I was feeling dizzy. My head was spinning, my body was really crook. Walked back home, ran into a couple of magpies who did not want me to go past, so I broke off pieces of my apple, stopped the birds from attacking me. They were quite happy, they let me go through. Got home and had half an apple, and then I was a zombie. I was so whacked out. The Wegovy had given me, it's a side effect. You can get energy depletions if you don't eat and drink. And I went to the toilet, and yep, my water colour was dehydrated. So it took me about 3 hours on Thursday night to actually get my body, I had a coffee. I couldn't eat food. Food made me throw up, so I didn't eat food and I had some water and then I went to bed. So that killed any chance of a Thursday vlog. I was screwed over. Friday, thought, okay, we'll get up, we'll make sure, I got up at 8 o'clock and thought I'm not waiting to midday today. I usually have 2 eggs, a tablespoon of yogurt, 6 walnuts and a little bits of capsicum for breakfast. It's more a protein breakfast with a bit of probiotics. I had that. I have my vinegar that I know I usually have a shot of apple cider vinegar for first thing in the morning. I had that. Got to lunchtime and I was crook. I had morning sickness, to put it to you bluntly. I was crook as a dog. So the rest of Friday I was crook. I couldn't eat again Friday. Saturday today. I feel alive. I lost 2 stone, I think, since Thursday, but I feel okay, and I may try to drink water every hour today. That's putting it to you bluntly. I'm not going to talk about the news that's going on in America. There's enough vlogs going on with that. I'll just state shortly. I'd never actually heard of the chap. Got my mouth eating a cacao. I'd never heard of him before. I try not to follow US politics as best I can because I don't vote in it. It's not my system of government. And no problem understanding the people here in Canberra, our government, I watched Bernie Sanders this morning and he kind of summed it up pretty properly too. For a country that, he starts off and says he did not like the guy, but for a country that believes in democracy and freedom of speech and all this sort of thing, we can't turn to radical violence, basically. And that's right, you can't. Politics shouldn't be solved at the end of a gun. But that's all I'm saying. That it's not my business. It's not something I should be concerned about. I'm just worried about some of my friends that in this vlogging community that I'm with, that is predominantly American and Canadian, and that's half Australian and a touch English. That I know some of my American friends that are as shocked as a JFK style thing. I've seen a few of them who are deeply shocked by it. Christian violence, it makes no sense to me. But anyway, enough on that vlog. Tomorrow is going to be a Sunday session. My wife's already coming up with some new ideas for Sunday session. And apologies if I'm not looking at you, because I've never vlogged on this camera before. And I think the lens is here, but I really don't know. The cameras on the Oppo aren't like an iPhone or a Google. They're Google ones that are down your phone like this, from left to right. Oppo ones run from top to bottom. So I could be anywhere from that far from the top with this lens, so I don't know. And I'm shooting on the front one too, so the front one I know is not in the middle there, but it's up there. It's a weird phone, it's a weird camera, but it's enjoyable, hey. We got multiple filters on here. I don't have the time to color grade. I can use CapCut to color grade if I wish. My favourite type of color grading, I watched Jeepers Creepers last night. If you're feeling sick, watch Jeepers Creepers. And it was the latest one, 2024 or 5. The latest one, the last 12 months. And it was pretty lame, actually. I felt like watching a B-grade horror movie. And they filmed that in what I call Fuji Green. If you want to know an example of Fuji Green, Oppenheimer. That was filmed in a green color grade. And that's, to me, that's exactly what you get from a Fuji camera when you're shooting Fujis. You get this, Fuji give you a bit more of a green, Fuji film gives you a bit more green, Kodak film gives you a bit more gold, right? And I predominantly grew up, and still do predominantly shoot Kodak. But I don't mind the green. And I was watching Jeepers Creepers, and what I do now when I watch TV, I look at their filters that they're using, and I don't like the soft focus look. I mean, I've got $1,000 lenses in there. If I'm going to shoot a photo that's from a lens that's supposed to be sharp, why would I put a soft filter on it, for Christ's sake? I've got mist filters in there, various mist filters in there, and they're excellent for making movies, which is what I think filters should be useful. And if I'm making a cinematic night movie of the alleyways of Melbourne, which I might start doing again soon, whenever I get some late night shifts, those sorts of filters really bring out the film noir, the detective, the crime scene, the X-File kind of feel. And that's when those filters on camera work. This camera's hard to put filters on. We've got some for cameras that we tried to put one on the other day, and because those cameras out of the background that way, we can only get to one, and we end up with this wide angle fisheye, which is pretty cool, but it bokehs pretty badly and it vignettes pretty badly. So Oppenheimer has a green filter, right? We'll get back on chat. This one can do various shades of green, a few shades, and it can do what they call Western, which is, I'll put Western on for you now. Hang on a second, I'll pause. So that's Western. Western's a little soft to focus. You notice the black bars have disappeared, or the vignetting has disappeared from the side. Now I'll show you the closest I can find on here to Oppenheimer or previous dupes. Hang on a sec. This one brings out the most green, as you can tell by this plant over here, how it's changed green. But it still doesn't green it up enough to be Oppenheimer. I'll leave it on this one for the finish it off anyway. So, if I want to use filters, I'll use CapCut. It's as far into colour editing as I know how to use, and they can put on any filter I want. But I'm going to leave the vlog on this dreary little filter cover. I'm going to talk to you on Sunday, if my body weight allows me to get out of bed and do it. I will finish the vlog if it worked. I don't know if it worked. Right, I will finish this vlog up here. It's getting late, it's getting cold, and I've got lots to do. I will talk to you on Sunday, which is tomorrow. I will figure out where to look on this phone, and hopefully the audio works too. So if the audio is working, even better. Stay safe. Whatever the strife is in the US, it will pass. Just, you know, forgiveness is what we hope is going to happen, but I don't think there's going to be any, you know, forgive thy neighbours or thou shalt not kill going on from there on. I think it's going to be a poo-bar over there for a little while.